Hi, this is Jordan from MQL4 Trader. I just want to quickly go over the ultimate Fibonacci EA and the HUD and fill you in on all the details and features that we have within the EA. So up at the top here, you can see we have a M15 major downtrend, and that's because we have our higher time frame analysis set to the M15 time frame. And you can set yours to whatever time frame you like, and it'll monitor a higher time frame of your choice and will give you the status of it. And it's just very helpful so that you can always stay in tune with the higher time frame. And next down here we have the compound calculator, which will take your balance. On this demo account we have 181,787. And it'll take the goal that you put in your EA properties, and it will calculate using compounding how many successful trades you'll need to reach your goal. In this case, it would take us 35 successful trades to reach $1 million. And that's also based on the assumed average profit per trade that you input into your EA properties. So in ours, we have 5% as the assumed profit per trade. So that's what this calculation is using, is 5%. Next over here, we have what's called the auto fibs. And these fib retracements are constantly updated every tick. And it pays attention to a higher time frame of your choosing as well. It could be the daily, it could be the hourly, it could be the 5-minute, it could be whatever you want. And it will pay attention to if a new swing high or a new swing low has happened using the zigzag indicator. And if it's a new low, it's going to give you a downtrend retracement. And if it's a new high, it's going to give you an uptrending retracement. And it's also intelligent, so it doesn't get faked out. It pays attention to the low that made the new high and the high that made the new low. And anything in between, it doesn't count, so you don't get a bunch of false signals. Right there, that signal we just got, that was from our pattern recognition, which you can also set to any time frame you want. This orange diamond here is a new swing low has happened against a previous swing high. That's to let us know that there could be a momentum change happening, which it looks like there is. And the green ones here, those are double tops and double bottoms. And if you see a gray one, that is a head and shoulders pattern. And you'll only get those in the direction of the trend. So we're looking for the trend to retrace and then continue downwards. So as long as you're in a downtrend, you're only going to get ones that are aimed downwards. So you're going with the trend. And if you're in an uptrend, it'll be ones that are aimed upwards. You can set that on any time frame you want. And next up, we have the buttons here, and all these buttons have to do with the main functions of the EA, because before you would have to jump into the EA properties if you wanted to activate a certain entry, and if you wanted to have entries on or off, you'd have to go into the EA properties, change it, come back out, and continue trading. So now we've made it so you can simply toggle on or off whatever entry you want to use. And if you have entries toggled off, but you have these entries, these type of entries still on, then the EA will give you a signal still and a text message, but it won't open a trade. If you have them on, it will open a trade. And you can have them on simultaneously, and the EA will choose which one meets its conditions first, and it'll open that trade. And the entries are based on the fib retracement tool, which most things in this EA are based on. So in the EA settings, you'll set a fib zone, which is the zone that you want the EA to trigger at and to start scanning for entries. So in our EA, we are set at the 50% line to the 786. So as soon as price gets to 50%, we'll hear a sound that tells us that the EA has been triggered. You can actually trigger it manually if you wanted to, so you'll hear this sound if it goes in the 50% zone, but we're going to just trigger it manually. So you hear that sound, and that'll tell you that the EA has been triggered, and we actually had a entry there. We had a fib zone engulfing, so that means we must have just had an engulfing candle. Oh, we did. I didn't actually realize that, but that wasn't intentional. But you can also see that now we have sounds as well in the EA to make things a little more exciting. And you can also change those sounds to whatever sounds you want. In the EA settings, you just go into the custom sounds section and you would change it to a sound that you have copy and pasted into the sounds folder inside MT4, which we show you how to do as well. And this button will come up anytime you open a trade. You can also disable this if you want in the EA settings, and it'll show us the status of our trade and if we want to instantly close the trade. That's so we don't always have to open the terminal and manage trades from other charts. We can just manage ones from this chart. It'll only show you the most recent trade on the chart. So we're going to close it, and we're going to get a buzzer because we failed this trade. It was a loss. If it was a win, we would get a cash register sound. So there we go. And now that that trade is open, this retracement tool is now not active. As you can see, fibs are not active. So I'm going to take entries off just so we don't have any more entries accidentally open. And if you want to learn about the entries, you can look at the strategy guide that you can message me for if you haven't already. I'll send you a strategy guide, custom sounds, download, free chart template if you want this specific chart template. And you can learn how to Fibonacci trade, and you can learn how to trade specifically for this EA, because honestly, we want you to succeed. If you don't succeed, you're not going to use our product. So we want to make sure that you're succeeding. And what else do we have? We have the exits here, which you can also learn about in the guide. These are fairly self-explanatory. And one of the coolest features we have is the one-click trade buttons, because they are based on auto lots, just like the entries are. The entries will calculate where your stop loss goes, and you can find out where the stop loss goes in the strategy guide as well. And your lots are automatically figured out for you. So inside the EA, you tell it, say we want to risk 2.5% on every trade. Then it's always going to risk you 2%, and it'll calculate it. So let's say you wanted to get into a trade on your own, not using the entries because you said, well, I think we're in a good spot, so I want to enter a trade. So you would just draw your Fibonacci retracement tool. You put it literally anywhere as long as price is within it. And the first point is where it's going to calculate your stop loss to. So if we want our stop loss to be right around here, then the EA is already calculating right here our lots, as you can see. So as soon as we hit sell, it's going to use that amount of lots, and it's going to calculate as close as it possibly can to get us to our risk. So our risk is 40. I think that says 4,520. It's hard for me to see. I'm actually not in a very bright place. And so if we click sell, it's going to use our spread padding to add to the stop loss, which you set in the EA settings as well if you want to have a little bit extra padding. So we're going to hit this. There we go. And now we're going to pull our stop loss, and it should be very close to 4520. Let's see. 4,600 right there. Yeah. So with our padding, we're pretty bang on. So that's incredibly helpful. Even if you aren't trading Fibonacci, just having this tool is amazing. You don't have to calculate lots. You're always doing the right amount of risk. It's an incredibly helpful tool. Okay, so next up we have the delete fibs button, which is pretty self-explanatory. But for example, let's say we have a few fibs on the chart. We want to clean up the chart. All you have to do is hit the delete fibs button, and on the next tick, it's going to clean up all the retracement tools. Sometimes the chart can get really messy. And as for the HUD, you can turn it on or off if you want to. That's entirely up to you. And let's see if this trade can get into some profit so we can actually hear the good sound when we close in a profitable trade. And you already saw trigger fib. That just means basically, well, you're triggering the fib tool to start scanning. But the times you'd use it is if, say, price was already in our zone. Well, we'll pretend we're doing a sell trade. If price was already in our zone, because the EA looks for it to start outside of the zone and then go into the zone to trigger it. So right now it's not going to trigger. So if we want to trigger it, we would just hit trigger fib. Or if it was down, price was down here, and we figured, you know, I think it's going to turn around sooner, and it's not even going to hit my fib zone. So then I could trigger it, and it would start scanning for trades. So right now it's scanning for trades. And if we move this, the fib would no longer be triggered, and we would have to trigger it again, or let the EA trigger it when it enters our predetermined fib zone. So let's close this trade. And we lost. Sorry about that, but I'm actually done this part of the video. Thanks very much. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the EA properties. Now we're going to go over the EA properties. So to get to them, you right-click your chart and click on Expert Advisors, or hover over Expert Advisors, and then click Properties. Then here you have your arrow colors for the signals. You can change that to whatever you want. Your HUD colors, the font color, the buttons, the toggle, and then banners uptrend and banners downtrend is your higher time frame analysis trend monitor colors. I like them to all kind of match up, but you can do whatever you want. Here you have the risk per trade. So this is used for all auto lots calculations. So any entry is based on this risk per trade. So most professional traders like to trade 2%, 2.5%, somewhere around there. So ours is automatically set to 2.5%, and you can change that to whatever you want. Auto lot sizing is what we were just talking about, the auto lots, which if you have that on, it's going to automatically calculate your lots. If you do turn that off, then it's going to default to the manual lot size if you want to use a particular lot size all the time for whatever reason. Profit target goal settings. This is what we were talking about earlier with the compound calculator. So you tell it your target, your goal, and then you estimate what you suspect you'll make per trade. Here we have a 2-to-1 ratio, so we expect to make 5% on average, which we hope to make more than that, but it's just our safe bet for calculating. And here you have the Fibonacci zones for entry. So this is where the EA will trigger to start scanning as soon as price gets into 50%. As soon as it goes beyond 50%, it starts scanning, and any entry like the MACD or the swing or the engulfing, when it signals, it has to be above this bottom number for a buy trade or below this number for a sell trade. So if you wanted, you can make your zone 38.2 to 786 or 38.2 to 50% or whatever you want to do. It's up to you. Here you have your entry time frames. So if you want to be able to jump around charts without it affecting anything, you can just set this to the time frame you want. We like to trade on the 1 minute because it's the smallest and gives us the best entries. But you can put whatever you want. If you just want it to be on whatever chart's open, then you can just do current. If you leave it to current, then as soon as you jump to the 15-minute time frame, now the swing entry is going to base its swings on the 15-minute swings as opposed to if you were on the 1 minute before. So if you always want it to open on a certain time frame, you just set it to that and leave it. And for the This is for the higher time frame analysis on the HUD, and you can set this, like we talked about, you can set this to whatever time frame you want, and it'll tell you the trend. Down here, this is for your in-profit exit. So our risk is set to 2.5% right now per trade. So if we wanted the EA to close every time we got to 5%, then we would just type in 5%, and then anytime we turn on in-profit exits, the trade will automatically close as soon as it hits 5%. Over here is the trailing stop. It's over here on the right hand side, and it's the same principle. Whatever percentage you set it to, as soon as you're in that profit percentage, the EA will trigger and start trailing your stop loss. Same with break even. If you want the EA to trigger a break even stop loss as soon as you hit 2.5%, then you just put 2.5% or 0.025. It always has to be in decimals because that's how the EA reads. This is the close trade button that shows up on the screen anytime you have a trade open. If you don't like it and it annoys you, you can just set that to false. Here, this is for the trailing stop, the parabolic SAR. So that's the indicator used for trailing stop. If you use the standard setting, it's 0.02, and 0.03 makes it a little tighter, so it's going to give you, you're going to have your stop loss hit more often, but it's also going to be tighter. So I like using 0.03 myself, but you can experiment with the indicator on your chart and kind of see what you think works best. If you want a really wide trailing stop that has a lot of leeway, then you could do something like 0.01 or 0.005. You'd have to experiment and see what works best. Trailing stop can be set to any time frame. If you want to keep it on current, then as soon as you say you open the trade on the 1 minute, but you actually want to trail on the 15 minute because it's the very start of like a really big trend, then you could just leave it on current and just switch to that time frame on your chart, and then it'll just follow on whatever time frame you're on. Spread padding for auto stop loss. That's when you have an entry and it automatically places your stop loss. The spread multiplier, it takes whatever the spread is and it multiplies that. So right now, all of our stop losses take into account a spread multiplier of 1. So whatever the spread is, that distance is added. If we set it to 2, then that's going to give the distance of 2 spreads as padding for our stop loss. Because you don't always want it tight, just in case price zings up and shoots back down quickly and just goes a hair above the previous high. Then having the spread multiplier there, giving you that padding, can protect your trade. Pattern recognition for the head and shoulders, new swing high, and double top, double bottom. That can be set to any time frame you want as well, and you can turn it off if you don't like it. For the Fibonacci retracements and structure breaks, you can set this to any time frame as well. These are what they notify you that a retracement's happening. Like this is actually showing the wrong time frame because the time frame is on the 1 minute, so all these check marks would have been happening actually on the 1 minute. But if we were on this time frame, then this whole move would have happened, and then as soon as this retracement started, it would have given us a signal to draw our Fibonacci retracement tool. It's just so you don't have to stare at the chart all day, and when a new high has been made and it starts to pull back, then you get notified and you can go draw your fibs, and you didn't have to watch for it all day. And structure break, that'll tell you when on a large scale you have been making, say, for example, new highs, and then all of a sudden it breaks and new lows made. So that's a large scale structure break, so it lets you know. And if you're confident in your trading, you can get into some pretty good large scale reversals with that, or it'll just give you a heads up that, okay, maybe I shouldn't be trading this upward anymore, I need to wait and see what happens. Or it could be a really large scale retracement. Either way, it just gives you a heads up. You can go check out the chart and see what's going on.
Auto fibs, that's these up here, which again are, we would be seeing them on a lower time frame so they wouldn't look so congested. But you can set those for whatever time you want as well, and you can turn them on or off as well. Notifications is text notifications sent to your phone, which you set up in MT4. You can turn that completely off if you want. If you don't want them all the time, you can set 2 different time periods to receive text. So maybe you can turn it off while you're sleeping, and if you're working a job, you can turn it off when you're at work or whatever. So you set this for the first time period that you want it on. So right now it's set between 0 and 11:59, and then this one's set for 12 to 12:59, which is just, it runs 24 hours right now, but you can change it to whatever you want, and it's based on the time on your chart. Trading hours is for entries. So if you don't want it trading at a certain time, then you just set the time you do want it to trade at, and then it'll never open a trade at, for example, say you don't want it trading in the Asian session, then no matter what, it won't open a trade at that time. I just keep mine on 24/7 personally. That's up to you. These are all the buttons that are here, the toggles. So you can choose the default setting, like if you always are going to want trailing stop on and break even on and entries off, then you would just set it like that, and swing entries maybe off. Set it however you want, and then that'll be the default, and then you'll just save it over here so that every time you load it, you'll always have these loading up the same way. And here the final part is the choose custom sounds. So these are all the interactive sounds we've added to the EA, and if you don't like them, you can turn sounds off completely. And if you want to change them, I have instructions in our website and the package that I'll send you if you request it, and it will show you how to add your own custom sounds and how to download these custom sounds. It's really easy to put them in. It's like 3 steps, so you just follow the steps and you're good to go. So once you have your settings completely set up the way you're always going to want them, then you can just go hit save and create a new setting, save it, and then every time you open a chart, you can just go expert properties, load your settings, and you have those settings in there. And if you wanted to go one step further, once you have those settings, you could even save it as a template, which you would go to here, save template, and then this will save your entire chart, everything on it, with the EA settings exactly as you have them when you hit save. But if you are going to do a template, you're going to want to make sure your HUD is off, because otherwise all those buttons, they're named per chart, so you will end up having to delete them for every chart. So you turn your HUD off, then save it as a template, then go back, turn it back on, and now every time you load it, it will start completely fresh. And you'd also want to delete any objects that were on your chart at the time, because you want to have a nice clean chart. So you'd go through and delete all your objects, then save a fresh template, then you'll have a nice clean chart every time. I hope that wasn't too confusing. If you have any questions, definitely let me know, and I hope that was helpful. Thanks very much.